What's up, familia? We have a special guest today on the podcast, and I am literally losing my shit. It's Victoria Blade!
Victoria Blade, at your service.
Oh my god, familia! We have Victoria Blade on podcast today!
Cheers.
How are you doing, Victoria Blade?
I am doing really well, very busy with all good things.
I know, I'm obsessed. I'm on your newsletter. Obviously, I love your music. I loved you so much in WandaVision. I'm literally so starstruck right now that we're here chatting. You look so fabulous.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I have to ask about your new song, Easy Together, before we get into like WandaVision questions, because I've been jamming out to it all
Thank
week.
you.
Tell me about this new song. How did it come about?
Yeah, good question. Well, I love writing music. I love writing songs, and this one was just inspired by like the theme of it is just overcoming obstacles, which we all face. It's a very human thing. And just I'm lucky and blessed to have met the love of my life. And the song is kind of about if I have this love and I have true love in my life, that nothing can defeat me. So in my mind, I actually just got off a call. We're planning a music video shoot for the song. And the imagery was very much just like in the beginning, I'm sort of bound up and stuck in like a tower, like somebody's chained me up and I'm not able to go do the things I love and be with the people I love. But then I break free and kind of run out and find my band and we start playing together. And so that's what the song's about. It's about overcoming.
I love that so much. And wait, I want to ask a follow-up question about making a music video because I'm kind of audibly deaf. My husband works in the music industry, so I should know more than I actually do. How does that work? You write the song, you put it out there, and then do you do the music video afterwards? How does that sort of work in like the entire creative process?
Yeah, great question. It can work in a lot of different ways. That's the great thing about music videos because you don't have to worry about the sound element while you're filming. It gives you a lot of creative freedom to kind of move the camera wherever you want to go. So my process has always been the songs recorded without a music video really in mind most of the time. And then once the song's recorded, if you're inspired enough by the song, it propels me to want to plan the music video. So it's always inspired by whatever the song's about, whatever the theme of the song is, or whatever the energy of the song is that inspires the imagery. And then you just go from there as far as like who you want to work with, as far as a director or how much crew you need, what equipment you need. It's different for everyone. Yeah.
Now for like the multiple like segments or scenes in the music video, do you film like that entire scene, like the entire song, and then you kind of just like splice it together? Or
pretty much.
Is that how it works?
Okay. Pretty much, except unless you have really specific shots that are just kind of a cutaway shot. You don't have to obviously film that for the whole 4-minute song or whatever. But yeah, I've edited some of my own music videos as well. And that's a really easy way to do it if you just have the whole song in each scene, if you will, or whatever shots you're using. It's such a fun medium because there's just no rules and really no way you can mess it up.
Okay, well, you are such an incredibly talented individual. I mean, I've seen you do comedy, obviously WandaVision. You've directed, you've written, you act. What sort of came first when you were kind of like growing up and starting to embrace all these like multiple talents you had?
Oh, that's a good question. I guess what came very, very first would be songwriting because I remember being very young, like 5 years old, playing in my massive backyard, like in Detroit, Michigan, and making up songs. And I remember some of those songs, like, years later. So I guess that was I never thought of it that way, but that was kind of the first creative impulse I had, was to put melody and lyrics together.
So interesting.
Yeah, but then I guess, yeah, my first role as an actor, I auditioned for the musical Annie, and I got that role. So acting always felt
Oh,
the first thing. But when I think about it, I'm like, oh, it was always tied to music because obviously that's a
yeah.
musical.
I mean,
Yeah.
Annie is such an iconic role. I did not know that you played her when you were a kid. What was it like doing Annie?
It was awesome. It was like a dream. Oh my gosh, it was awesome.
Because that was like the role to get if you're a child actor, right? The only person I can think of right now is Sarah Jessica Parker, who played her back, in the day. But like
Yeah.
that's incredible that you got that's a testament to your talent.
Thank you. Yeah, because that was my first audition.
Yeah.
So it was all instinct at that time. You're just up there as a 10-year-old, just acting out of instinct. So honestly, it was a huge blessing. It was a small production in Michigan, and but to me, it was the beginning. It was a big deal, and like 400 girls auditioned for that
That's
for that role.
insane.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, you're naturally a redhead, so
yeah.
like, I mean, they're like, there you go. That's insane. Like, I guess, like, was your family very encouraging of when you got like the acting? Because when I was like a little punk, I ocho in Miami, I was like, I want to be an actor. My abuela was like, yeah, yeah, okay, whatever, But you actually grew up in an environment where it was fostered. Your parents encouraged you. Did they come from a theater, acting, arts background as well?
Yes, my mom grew up, she did plays, like local plays as she was growing up. And yeah, my mom, I remember when I was like, I saw it in the newspaper. I was like, there's Annie auditions. Can I go? And she was just like, okay, here we go. She was down. Like she drove me to all those rehearsals every night and to all the performances and made me take vitamins so I didn't get sick for my
Oh my
performance.
God, I didn't even think of something like, go Mama Blade taking
Yeah,
care
she
of
was
you.
good. Yeah, she always saw it as like a she always saw that dream as it could be a reality, and now it is.
Yeah, well, congratulations. It's a really good reality. And obviously, we're going to dive in on some of the properties you've been part of. But um, you've been in like Doom Patrol, Watchmen, obviously WandaVision. Was little Victoria 10 years old playing Annie? Was she a comic book fan? Were comic books or like those kind of properties on your radar growing up?
Great question. Yes, at my
Yes.
grandma's house, the Batman animated series was always on,
Yes.
and I
Yes.
just loved it. I mean, I totally resonated with all those female characters and just their sass and their determination and their power. Like, yeah, I was totally a fan of, and actually as an adult, I'm still just a huge fan of the animated series. I'm like blown away by how good those episodes are,
So
and the sound design, the craft, the voiceover work. It's just like so good. And then, yeah, I remember seeing like the first Spider-Man with, you all will know because this is like totally your, what, Tobey Maguire.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
The first
Yes.
one with him, and I came out of that screening being like, that was, I love good versus evil, which is the
Yeah.
basic storyline of all comic books. And it's just the greatest storyline, so you can, it just goes so deep, I think, into human nature. So there's
Mhm.
something about whenever I see a great comic book movie where it's just good versus evil, I get so invested.
Well, no, I mean, I love those modern, interpretations of like good versus evil. I mean, these are modern myths being regurgitated for us. I think it was my thesis advisor, Dale Peck, who told me that once. And I was like, wow, like this was years ago. I'm like, I never
Yeah.
thought about it like that. I was into it for the drama and all that stuff. But it's funny. My day job is an auctioneer, and I was doing a gala here in the city for a theater company, and Kevin Conroy, who voiced Batman, or still
Yeah.
voices Batman, was there, and I saw him, and Victoria, like I like fell in love with him. I like went up to him like, Kevin, I'm in love with you, and he's like, let's talk, and he did the Batman voice for me and everything.
Oh.
But the reason why the series was so good, and I think this is also why even your performances, have resonated with people, is because he has a theater background and he brought that to his role. And when I was reading your bio and finding out about you, knowing that you have a theater background, that makes perfect sense, especially seeing your stage presence.
Mm, yeah, thank you. That's very sweet of you to notice. There is something about the way you're trained as a whole body in theater. You're not just thinking about the shot, or like you're not just thinking about a one, just this. You're thinking about the whole physical presence, which is also like comic books are very theatrical,
Oh yeah.
in nature. So yeah, thank you for noticing.
Yeah, no worries. No, I mean, I think a lot of the actors I know personally, or ones I admire, they have a really great theater background. You can always spot that in performances, versus some other actors who still do great stuff. But okay, wait. So you're from Michigan. You did Annie, and then we know you left, and then you went to the Chicago theater scene, right?
Yeah.
How is I don't know anything about the theater scene in Chicago. Tell me, how was that? I love Chicago.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. So I can't speak to post-pandemic, but when I was there, we were there 5 years, and I just did plays. I played Hamlet, I played Ophelia, did Les Mis, like did plays that were self-written by the community that we researched. This one play we did called Crime Scene Anthology. We were just researching, I mean, this is kind of a sad part, but violent crime in Chicago. And, it's an epidemic across
Of
the
course.
US, but we did a bunch of research on specific stories, and really as a community came together and wrote a play about crime in Chicago. And I ended up writing a song for it. And um, that's just one example of the incredible thoughtfulness and community that is in Chicago, especially when it comes to writing brand new work. It was such a collaborative community environment. It's a really unique place to get your footing as an actor, because it's so all about the work of being an actor, and writing together and collaborating, and it's not so much about the business side of things. So it's a really beautiful and pure creative playground to it was a wonderful place to start out. I
Well,
would recommend it to anybody.
you said, well, yeah, I anytime I get booked in Chicago, I just love it. I usually stay at the St. James, somewhere around Millennial Park. My geography is
Yeah.
terrible. I don't think I actually have been booked since the pandemic. Miss it.
Hmm.
I miss Chicago very much. But you said something really interesting when you were talking just now about how everything is very collaborative. And I think a lot of people forget that these productions that you're a part of and everything you do, collaboration is key here. You all working towards a single project, and you all have to kind of like be on the same equation when it comes to
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh yeah, especially with something like, yeah, like the scale of WandaVision. It's like there's so much thought put into every detail. Like I recently met the woman who was in charge of the toast in the toaster commercial.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know her mother and I are like filmmaker friends. And I met her, and I was like, oh my God. I couldn't see her that day because she was all, masked up and everything. But I was like, oh, you were in charge of the toast. Like, oh my God. It's
Okay,
just so collaborative. Yeah.
wait, I need to know. There was a toast. Was it specific toast in there for the commercial? I just love that attention to detail.
Oh yeah,
Of
everything. Oh yeah,
course.
I'm sure there were just like meetings and emails about that
About
toast. Like
everything and how it's going to
everything.
pop up,
Oh
everything.
yeah, everything is so thoughtful. Yeah.
Well, you can tell. I mean, I think the fact that WandaVision is probably one of the highest rated loved Disney Plus show speaks for itself. It's because you guys had so much detail in that production. But wait, so
Yeah.
you were in Chicago. What took you to LA? I'm assuming normal work, unless you're going to tell me they called you up for WandaVision. Kevin Feige was like, "Come here," and then we can dive into that. But I'm assuming it was just work in LA.
Yeah, what brought me to LA? Well, it's been a long road. We've lived in we did we lived in Brooklyn for 3 years.
All
We
right,
did work
Brooklyn.
there, more theater. And then we were living in Atlanta for a while as well. And I actually still have an apartment there and have a ton of friends there. And obviously they shoot a lot of stuff there.
Yeah.
And so yeah, LA, it just yeah, work calling, relationships calling. It just felt like the natural step. Yeah.
So what is it like to go from doing like theater production in somewhere like Chicago and then being part of big like comic book franchises like Marvel and DC and all that?
Sure. Yeah, honestly, in its essence, it doesn't feel that different. Like the work itself isn't that different, right? Like you study a character, you make choices, you show up on these beautiful sets that have been created. Um,
Love that.
the main difference is just way less rehearsal. But in general, it feels very similar to doing a scene in a play. I was thinking about that recently, how it's really not that different. So that's kind of nice.
Is that collaborative like effort still there? Like especially for you as an actor, where you're kind of coming into this established like property, are you able to sort of weigh in on your character's choices? What is she wearing? How she grabs the toast, or is that very much curated?
It kind of depends on the production.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's more collaborative depending on how much time you have in post production or anything like that. It feels collaborative to me because, like, especially for WandaVision and yeah, especially for WandaVision because I was there from the very, very beginning, so I got to see the process really, really early, and it was delightful to watch the director and the writer and some of the producers like come to those decisions of, oh, I think we're going to have the same actors in every commercial.
I love
It
that.
felt like, yeah, I was in on it from a very early stage,
Oh,
which is very, very fun. But even,
okay.
yeah, with Doom Patrol, even, yeah, the director and I were super collaborative. She was wanting to have all these conversations about the character and the relationship, and that it's the best when you get to collaborate. That's the best.
So before I dive into too many questions about WandaVision, I did see Alien Baby,
Yeah.
and I thought that was hysterical.
Thank you.
Tell us about how that project came about. I thought it was so smart because, as I told you on email, I've literally been in that situation. Not even just like if a coworker's telling me she's pregnant, but also like when I'm like talking myself out of something, and then I realize, oh no, actually, I'm kind of for it. You know what I mean? And I just thought it was. I mean, like I thought the writing was very smart. I thought the direction was very smart, and I thought the acting was really smart too. It was really well done. So I'm just curious how did that project sort of come into fruition?
Yeah, I was shooting a commercial, and these two actresses on set with me were like, we just found out we were both pregnant. And they had just found and like they were on set and they were like, oh my god, I just found I'm pregnant, so did I. And that was like the spark of it. Was like, okay, I almost wanted the whole thing to take place in like a bathroom where like they just took the test and just found out, but it's too small in a bathroom. So it's like, okay, what if they're just office buddies? And honestly, the creative idea was just to shoot something comedic,
Mhm.
with really snappy back and forth dialogue, like sitcom style. Um, that would be easy to shoot, that would be fast and cheapish to shoot. And that was really and I just like this idea of two women just finding this out, and they both have very different reactions.
Mhm.
But then by the end, they've almost like switched
Yeah.
philosophies, which is just like a fun reversal. Yeah.
I really pride myself in trying to see it coming, in stories. But I actually was surprised when Annie was like, "I'm pregnant."
Oh,
I thought
good.
it was, I thought it was a genuine surprise, but I also loved that transition you're talking about where they switch, where Meg starts looking really unsure because Meg is calling her baby Miracle, which we've all been there with someone who gives their child this bombastic name. And I'm curious, as a director, how you were able to not only act in the scene, but also direct it and create those sort of transitions as well.
Rehearsal.
Yes.
Rehearsal. Yeah. Me and the other actress
Yeah.
met up probably only two
Yeah.
times before the shoot day, but we just rehearsed it. Like we really almost like a play, right? Like we got into a rhythm with the transitions and the beats where once we were on set, I barely directed the acting.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So it was just kind of like we already knew. Yeah.
I think I'm trying to remember an interview that Elizabeth Olsen said about rehearsal where she was here like for one scene you're supposed to rehearse like 100 hours of it or something like that, something like a scene where I was like, wow, if I were an actor I would never. But hearing you speak right now, yeah, rehearsal is the key to that, and make those mistakes in rehearsal and just keep going at it over and over again.
Yeah, and just finding the tone and finding the rhythm, the pacing. We did that all in rehearsal. Yeah.
Well, speaking of rhythm, if there was something that I think is really interesting about your work is that you occupy a lot of characters, not only in WandaVision, but also in like Doom Patrol and some of your other work, where in one you're in the 70s, another one you have this like very antiquated accent, another one you're post-futuristic, talking about consciousness and stuff like that with Amanda Pete. What
Yeah.
how do you prepare yourself? Like, how do you even like prepare for a range like that?
Great question. So it all starts with the script. Um, so whatever choices I'm making, like it's all starting with I'm reading the material and I'm getting ideas that are all from what the writer has put on the page,
Hmm.
right? So like even for WandaVision, when we were shooting the toaster scene, me and Ithamar, who's lovely,
He's so
um,
handsome.
we had, yes, he is. He's married. He's married,
Oh,
ladies.
sad.
Sorry, he's married, ladies and gents. Um, uh, we were doing the toaster scene, and we both were kind of coming at it with a little bit more of like a parody tone, like because we both like to do comedy. So we were coming at it with sort of a winky like fun. And the director, who's lovely, Matt, what just gave us the simplest little tweak and was like, let's just do it genuine, let's just do it as like we're really selling a toaster.
Yeah.
And it was a lovely tweak, and I thought his direction really worked for the whole show, just to that we're not making fun of those eras or those or that time, right, in advertising, but we're just kind of lifting it up and saying this is how it was.
That's actually a really good point because I remember after WandaVision aired that first episode, my husband and I went to Timothy Olton in the city, and we were looking for some furniture because everyone in the pandemic is redecorating. But there was this couple here talking about WandaVision, and they were explaining it to one of the designers at the store, and it was exactly what you just said. It's not making fun of this era, it's lifting it up. It's sort of taking those qualities from, I think in at that point it was what, like the 40s and the 50s. It was like Bewitched for those episodes. and really celebrating it. And I think it comes through. And I love that Matt gave you that direction, which was to be very earnest in the scene. You're not being a
Yeah,
parody.
absolutely. Yeah. And like we needed that because like we're showing up on set and they've already been shooting for weeks, so we don't know exactly where the tone has kind of settled up until that day. But yeah, I love your question about preparation because it's really like that was what we were inspired to do. And then it's a combination with that and then the direction. You always just have to trust the director because they see the whole thing and they know exactly how each part fits.
Yeah.
So you just really trust the direction.
And shout out to Matt, who I think at D23 was just announced as the Fantastic Four director. So yay, Matt.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
All right, so WandaVision. How did that come about? What did your agent just call you and was like, oh, Marvel has this casting call out there? Like what was the process with WandaVision?
It's so even simpler than that. So obviously we get auditions all the time from our
Yeah.
reps and it just comes through as an email most of the time, right?
Mhm.
Unless there's something you need to know that's some information they need to let you know. It's just an email and it says Marvel SVOD project
Mhm. Wait,
untitled.
SVOD.
Yeah, I think that stands for streaming video on
Oh
demand
yeah, yeah, that makes
or
perfect sense. Sorry, I'm like, what?
something.
I'm like SVOD, where?
Yeah, right. I think that's what it means. I think in my mind that means streaming. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
okay,
no, that's perfect. Yeah, video on demand. That's what they call
streaming.
streaming. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
So
so
weird to when every time I hear video on demand, I'm always gonna think of like direct to DVD movies and stuff like that.
yeah, totally. Um, yeah, so it just comes through as an email, and with Marvel, they're very secretive, so you just get your scene, your pages. And sometimes, they'll change the names so you don't really know who's who.
Hmm.
And yeah, so I just did a self tape, sent it in, and then a couple weeks later was asked to come in and basically was filling in for all the roles that weren't cast yet or weren't present at those first table reads in Atlanta. And it was really fun. Like it was a little mysterious. Like I was like, I don't even know what this project is. I didn't know who was going to be there, and then ended up having a lovely week reading the scripts with most of the cast. I would say maybe half were there, and it was just lovely, and just hearing all about the show. And I remember finishing that last episode, reading it all together, and by that point, the whole cast was there,
Hmm.
and I knew, what role was mine. And yeah, reading that last episode, I just had chills. I thought it was so beautifully written and speaking to something really deep, right? Like I've never seen a comic book story about grief before.
Oh.
So it felt new and fresh and really feminine and it was just such a joy. And I just knew, I was like, this is going to be amazing, just by reading the scripts.
Well, yeah, because what I think Marvel does really well, and I think what they killed it with WandaVision, I mean, they hit it out of the park with WandaVision, was they take the source material, which is Wanda and Vision go live in the suburbs, but then they really meshed it up with a lot of human behavior, which,
Yeah.
in this case, Wanda dealing with her grief. And because, as you were saying earlier on, so many people in the production were looking at details, and there were probably so many emails about the toast. I'm sorry, I keep harping on the toast, but probably so
No,
many emails.
celebrate the toast.
Celebrate toast. I've had a carb since 1998, but it's fine. But I think why it did so well was because of all this attention to detail, and of course, you and your character, which I don't know why I thought they name. I haven't seen WandaVision in like 6 months, but I thought they had named her. But she's commercial woman,
Yeah.
and everyone on the internet, Victoria. I mean, I spearheaded a lot of the conversation. I'm like, that's Wanda's mom, or it's a manifestation of Mephisto. What was sort of like this is a two-part question. One, as an actor, what is it like entering like a Marvel project? Because that is like a gold standard in terms of the fandom that sort of comes out for it and how hyped people are for you.
Yeah.
But also, how's it like as an actor being like, oh my God, people are talking about my character and all these theories there. I mean, it must be like, you know,
Yeah. Well, first of all, what's it like being a part of Marvel Project? Yeah, you do really feel like you're entering something that's much bigger than all of us, right? Like it just feels like this force that you're sort of entering into. But at the time, I wasn't really aware of that, I would say. To me, it was just a cool, exciting project to be a part of.
mhm,
Um, the fandom element of it and having that big reaction was thrilling. It
yeah.
was thrilling. That was really when I started to understand what it meant to be a part of. It wasn't until much later that when the show was coming out and seeing everyone's reactions and excitement, that was when it really hit me of what this meant to people and the reach that it has. Yeah, it was thrilling.
Did you? So there were so many rumors about like the production of WandaVision. Were you guys almost done, but then the pandemic happened, or did you film after like once the pandemic was underway?
I filmed once the pandemic was very much underway.
Okay, okay,
So all the commercials were, and I think, don't quote me on this. I
yeah,
think the bulk of production seemed to happen late 2020.
okay.
So it was
I
very
gotcha.
deep into the
Which that
pandemic.
makes sense because there were so many rumors about like, oh no, they were about to finish WandaVision, and then the pandemic happened. You're not going to get it till 2025 or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't quote me on that because really all I know is we shot a lot of stuff
yeah.
at the end of 2020. Yeah, it was like October, fall,
And that makes
fall.
sense with a TV schedule, which I'm assuming these Disney Plus shows have more of a TV schedule instead of a, like movie schedule. But that, the reason,
I don't know if there's
yeah,
what do you mean by TV schedule?
I'm just thinking because I'm a little older. I always think of like the traditional like 22 episode, like you're filming for like 8 months. Like you take a week to film an episode, like kind of like how Buffy and Dawson's Creek, they take like a week and a half to film, and then they pick up a new episode. Or do you all just like film everything at once?
It still happens like that sometimes. I would say the bulk of what I have worked on for TV shoots a little more like a film.
Gotcha.
Um, so they might be finishing up some scenes from episode 3 and we're on episode 5 and um it's so different now because like with streaming they're not thinking of it that way like oh we're putting out one episode a week some once in a while they do like in WandaVision I thought it was brilliant how they paced it out like that um but most we're just trying to get it shot you know what I
That's
mean
it. Yeah.
we're just trying to figure it out get it done and keep everybody safe that's what everybody's trying to do um yeah.
So you go off, you audition, and does Kevin Feige call you personally and give you a handbasket and is like, "Welcome to the
Yeah, showed up
MCU"?
at my door. You gave me a corporate card. No, no, I haven't had the pleasure of meeting Kevin yet.
Okay.
He seems lovely. But no, I mean, when you're offered the role, it's like any
Is
other thing. You just get a call from your agent, and it's like, hey, they want you for this. Here's the dates. Um, yeah, just
and then
like any
you just
other
show up.
job.
I love that.
Yeah.
So wait, did you get much interaction with Elizabeth Olsen?
Yeah, she's lovely. Yeah, yeah. I am like not always aware of who everyone is in the
Yeah.
industries, which really helps me. Like I only know you if you're like Tom Cruise. Like I
I
would know Tom Cruise, I would know Gwyneth Paltrow. Like I am
love Gwyneth.
not
We
she's
are
amazing.
Gwyneth stands on this podcast. I love Goop. I literally drink Goop Glow every morning.
Yeah, she's a star. Yeah, like so yeah, absolutely met Lizzie, but didn't place her as Elizabeth Olsen. I just met
Yeah.
her as Lizzie, and it was lovely, and we worked together. And then I think I didn't realize that she was an Olsen sister
Yeah.
until days later. Like, it's kind of lovely. Um I love that about, like, because I just view it as this is my community, and of
Yeah.
course I'm always happy to just be collaborating with great actors, which they obviously all are. So for me, it was just meeting an actor colleague, and then learning later, oh, okay, I know why she looks familiar.
You're like, oh, there you are. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's amazing.
What about Catherine Hahn? She's such a like master of comedy. Did she give any pointers to you when you were doing your scenes? Any behind the scenes tips that you kind of got from her? Any lessons?
Not directly, no,
Mm,
no direct
yeah.
tips or anything like that, but just by watching her throughout the table reads and stuff, what I learned from her just as an artist is how she's so fully invested and passionate
Hmm.
about the story. And I felt that way from her and Lizzie both. Like, they were just so invested in the story and where it was going, and had all these questions, and really just a beautiful
Yeah.
passion for what we're doing, which is telling this story. So I would just say, just by osmosis, just I'll be around that. I would love to be around that passion all the time. That type of actor is like why we do this.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the community you're part of and sort of the contemporaries you stand with, it's evident how passionate you guys are because I think projects like WandaVision and others that you've been part of succeed because of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
it was so cool to see that so early on, because a lot of times, as a guest actor, you're walking in once the camera's basically rolling when you arrive. So it was really beautiful to get that time where you're just talking about the story and you're just exploring the characters, and they're asking questions to the writer, to the director, to the producer. That was lovely to be a part of, because as a guest actor, sometimes you're just walking on doing your scene, and you don't get to witness that beautiful genesis of the collaborative process.
yeah, we've had some other actors on the podcast before, and they've talked about these wonderful guest spots they've had, but how intimidating it can be to sort of be the one showing up while everyone's already established those bonds and everything. But it sounds like WandaVision though is a very beautiful, community to be part of because
Well,
everyone was
that
so
one, it
invested.
didn't. It felt like I was more of a part of it, so it didn't
Yeah,
feel as much like a guest thing.
yeah.
But yeah, you're certainly right. It can be intimate. I think I've been doing it for so long that luckily I'm really comfortable showing up as a guest star, and I love it. I love just meeting everybody. Like, as long as I get with them, I'm just happy to be there. Whether it's a day or 2 weeks or 2 months, like, I love it all.
So this is where you get to validate some of my fan speculation or just shoot me down. So commercial woman, in your head, did she have more of a story behind her? Were you told something about her behind, the scenes like, oh, she was a resident, or maybe she could have been Mephisto or something like that. What what were you given about her and sort of in your head, how did you conceptualize her?
Yeah, good question. I wasn't given anything like
Mm,
that. And I because I understood the structure of the season of the series so well, having
love
read it all the way through, I think, to me, I just understood thematically what element I was serving in this sitcom TV world.
hmm
So I just thought of it very black and white, like that. Like, oh, this is so cool that we're not only sending up these love letters to different eras of television, but we're also like, it just felt so creative and fun to also throw in a commercial from that time frame as well. So I was thinking of it very black and white as like my job is that I exist in this commercial world to sell products. That was how I thought of it.
Did you know going into the scenes that they were going to be full of so many Easter eggs and that fans like myself, and I'm sorry for tagging you so much on Instagram, were you aware that we were going to pick them apart, that people were just going to look at everything like, Hydra soap for the mess you didn't mean to make, obviously a reference to Wanda and Civil War. Were you aware of that? Did Matt or anyone sit you down and sort of walk you through all of those
No.
different, so you found out after the fact when crazy people like me are on Instagram, like, oh my God.
Completely.
Oh, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
And they are
Victoria
so
Blade, I'm so sorry.
oh, it's okay. I mean, even if they are so lovely that
Yeah,
if I had wondered or if
yeah,
I had gone up to one of the producers and asked, I'm sure they would have been happy to
yeah.
walk me through those Easter eggs and stuff. But I didn't even know to ask because I wasn't aware of the whole, lexicon of Marvel. So I was blissfully ignorant.
Well, I think even Elizabeth Olsen said in one of those interviews where she was here, like, props to the props person because she didn't even know like the label on a wine translated to House of Misery, which is, reference to House of M and all that stuff, and sort of
Oh.
symbolic of what's happening in Westview. So
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah, kudos to them and just the detail put into the script and into the prop department. Yeah.
So was there ever more for Commercial Woman? Because I don't think we see her in the end amongst the townspeople. Were you on set and maybe that scene just got cut? Was there ever going to be like some kind of resolution that you were there and you were part of the people Wanda was holding captive, which is so horrible to say.
I think I'll leave that to the imagination.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Because Victoria, I literally paused every like big wide shot. I'm like, where are they? Where are they from the commercial? Like
Right,
trying to
right.
any redhead that sort of was like Emma Stone meets Amy Adams. I'm like, there's Victoria Blade, so
Yeah.
you know that's
Yeah.
fine.
A lot of people had that, friends of mine had that question as well. Like, where were you?
Yeah.
Yes, you're not alone.
Okay, good. That's fine. We'll leave it to the imagination, but also you do exist in the MCU. Would you be open to return? I know you can't ever say if you can or will, but would you be open to revisiting your character?
Of course. Yes. Yes.
Love
Yes.
that so much. Well, we would love to see you. Everyone was going crazy about Mephisto because in the Marvel, comics, Mephisto's like a demon. And when Wanda created her twins, it was sort of told, to the reader that the twins were manifestations of Mephisto. So that's why there was so much Mephisto
Oh,
craze happening.
okay.
Were you privy to all that Mephisto craze? Was it coming your
Yeah,
way?
I saw it, but it
Yeah.
just went over my head because I was like, I'm not sure what is happening. Yeah. I loved it. I loved all the passion and all those theories. I think it's awesome.
So because WandaVision came out during, the height of the pandemic, you guys didn't really get to do like a red carpet or a premiere, or maybe you didn't, and I just didn't know. But like on one hand, you're like, wow, the best thing about being about a Marvel project is seeing all the stuff that comes out with the actors and everything. But on the other hand, I mean, I don't know anyone who wasn't watching WandaVision. I feel like everyone's eyes were glued on it.
I
And
totally agree. Yeah. So, yeah, I never thought of it as being a negative
yeah,
that it came out during definite shutdown time. It never struck me as a loss really because everyone was watching it, right? So that's really what you want. More than a premiere or a red carpet, you want people to enjoy it and to be excited about it. So that was definitely happening. So to me, it was like, it was such a huge response from the fans, from new fans, family, friends, everyone I'd ever met was messaging me. So I don't think I could have handled more stress or more, it felt like an avalanche for me. So no, I don't think that was a negative thing that it rolled out during that.
No, I mean it's so funny because Marvel has been very gracious to this podcast, and we've been able to do a lot of premieres and stuff like that. But the one thing I have to say, it's the hype that WandaVision had. It's sort of something, no matter how much money you throw at it, you can't create that level of hype. And because of actors like you, because of set designers, because of directors like Matt, I mean, you guys gave us something so special, and it was such a
Oh.
pleasure to watch it and speculate weekly. And I'm so sorry again for speculating so hard about your character.
No, I don't care. Speculate all you want. That's that's the joy of being a fan of something. And yeah, I love hearing that it meant so much to you. And I was even somewhere like months after it came out, like probably a year after it came out, and a musician that I knew of but had never met was talking about the show and sharing how much it meant to him. And it was so he didn't know I was in the room. Like, I was like listening from afar. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I have to go say hi to that guy. Like, that's so cool to meet someone you've never connected with before and have this shared uh experience through a show. I mean, that's the beauty of television, really.
Well, speaking of other great shows, you were also part of American Crime Story. How was it like being on that? I mean, that's an iconic story, about everything that happened with Monica Lewinsky, clearly, but also to be part of that as an actor.
Yeah, so I booked the role of Maureen Dowd on that show, and it didn't make it into the final cut.
Oh.
But yeah, it was really fun to read and to just do the work that I did do on it. It was really fun. That character, Maureen Dowd, was really fun to research because, as you know, on that show they do a lot of research and a lot of work matching the actor to the real person. So I had a blast working on her, and it was great to book the role. But yeah,
It happens.
it happens
Cutting room
all the
floor
time. Yeah,
happens.
yeah.
What upcoming projects do you have on the horizon that you can talk about and that you can plug?
Sure. Well, my music video will be coming out soon for Easy Together. But yeah, you can listen to Easy Together everywhere on Spotify. It's just under Victoria Blade, and that's everywhere you listen to music. And then I have things in the pipeline, but I'm not really allowed to say much. But you will see me on a very, very, very cool new series that will be premiering on Amazon Prime in the spring. So
All
that's all
right.
I can say.
Oh my God, let the speculation begin. I know they're doing
Yeah.
Shira, Invincible, so much. I'm gonna go crazy speculating
Yeah.
and
That's all I
thinking.
can say.
Oh gosh, well, and where can fans connect with you? What's the best place to sort of check out all the projects you're doing and sort of stay in the know on their Victoria Blade news? I know
Yeah.
I'm on your newsletter, which I think I talked.
Honestly, that's kind of the best way. I mean, you can go to my website, victoriablade.com, and you can, on the homepage, you can sign up for my newsletter. And every time I'm in a new show or release a new song, I will just send you a little alert. But other than that, I mean, I love Instagram. I'm old school.
Same. You
I
don't
like
look old school at
gram.
all. You
I
look like
like
you're in
the
your early
gram.
20s. You look
Bring
like
it
a
on.
baby.
Yeah, I just the TikTok, I'm just like, ooh, I get on there
Oh,
and I'm like, I mean, I'll still pop on there once in a while so people can follow me on there. That's where I feels like all the Marvel fans are on TikTok. So
oh,
it
I
was
agree.
really fun during the show rollout to like hop on there.
Oh my God, the WandaVision. We have this person in our sort of Marvel podcast community. She got like a dry erase board and was just connecting all of these dots, like kind of like a dragnet. I don't know the term, but you know what I mean, where you're like connecting everything together just to
Yeah.
try to solve everything. And
Um,
Emma Caulfield's character, Dottie, everyone thought she was Mephisto. They thought you were Wanda's mom, again, to keep repeating that. The bunny was going to be something else. It was such a fun time watching that show. I think that's what makes it very unique among Marvel projects.
so unique. Yeah. So proud to be a part of it. Oh, another show I that just came out I'm in is called Surfside Girls, and
Okay.
that's on Apple TV. Apple
Oh,
TV Plus.
well, first of all, I love Surfside Girls. Like, I love that title, and I love all the Apple TV content. What's the show about?
Yeah, so it's based off a graphic novel of the same title, and it's basically like Nancy Drew on the beach. So it
Oh my
focuses
God.
on these really adorable preteen best friends
Hmm.
who run around their beach town solving crime mysteries. And so it's really good for like the whole family. It's really good for younger, like teen audiences. And I play this cute, like hippie jewelry making lady who like gives her a clue and is just like always on the boardwalk selling jewelry.
I'm just Googling it right now. I don't think I've seen the graphic novel before, but it looks fun. I'm definitely going to send it
Yeah.
over to my nieces and check
Yeah,
it
it's
out.
yeah, really empowering for young women and female identifying. It's just like a really fun. It's also about friendship, it's
Yeah.
about childhood friends. Yeah.
Well, and those female identifying focused narratives are so important right now, especially everything that's going on in our country. So,
Yeah.
Victoria Blade, you're so fabulous. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you, Paul.
on and
Of
chatting
course.
with us. Obsessed.